In today's complex business environment, leaders need not only to be prepared for the worst, but also to build their resilience. At The Human Factor, Corporate Integrity Matters' Sonja Stirnimann invites top executives, board members, and industry experts to reflect and talk about the realities of corporate integrity, risk, and ethical leadership. As an international governance authority, independent director, and entrepreneur, she understands the challenges leaders face. Integrity and ethical leadership are not just principles. They build resilience, enhance reputation, and create strategic competitive advantage for organizations and for individuals.
Today, it's a real pleasure to welcome Joanna Kleinman. Joanna Kleinman is a globally recognized psychotherapist, leadership coach, keynote speaker, and founder of the Mastering Your Mind coaching company. She is the best-selling author of a book that has sold thousands of copies worldwide, host of a podcast ranking the top 10% globally, and creator of the ICF Certified Mind Method certification program. Her transformational framework helps coaches, therapists, leaders, and healers build thriving businesses by giving them the tools to create powerful group and mastermind programs that magnify their impact and income. Joanna, thank you very much for being here today. We both know that integrity starts with us, with all of us, and it would be great to explore what kind of experience brought you to where you are right now, and what do you also see with your clients. And we already discussed in our pre-discussion that the human factor is at the end our center. We would like to explore a little bit more.
Yes. Well, okay, so let me first answer what brought me to where I am today. So I was a private practicing psychotherapist for many, many years. And I, obviously I did it because I love making a profound difference in the ways that people see themselves and the ways that people see their life. But in doing that for, 10, 15 years, right? What I started knowing kind of deep in my soul is that number one, I don't want to just make an impact, one-on-one, right? And number two, I really want to create something where people don't just feel better, but they truly understand how to transform themselves into a very different human with a different lens through which not only do they see themselves, but where they really understand how they are responsible for creating their own reality, as opposed to just feeling like they are at the effect of their circumstances or this relationship that's difficult or this, challenging issue in my business or this challenging issue with the company. People don't understand just how much power and agency they really have to make profound changes in the life that they're living.
Do you think that people in general really understand their own integrity? Because what I see is that we talk about corporate integrity and the integrity of others, but if I ask the question about their own integrity,
Yes.
sometimes it takes a moment before I get any kind of answer.
Yes. Yes. So even being aware that you are not living from your own integrity actually takes a willingness to do some inner work, right? And here's the problem with that, Sonja, okay? Most people don't even understand that they're really operating in their life on autopilot. Now, let me explain what I mean by that, because I'm sure a lot of your listeners are like, wait a minute, I do not operate on autopilot. I work hard and I, have all of these goals.
That's exactly the reason why I wanted to have you here right now, because we always talk about risk and compliance and everything, but when it comes to our own integrity, I think there is some additional work we could
Oh,
do and also provide now to our audience.
without question. Okay. So what most people don't understand is that the way that we see everything is pretty solidly formed 95% of the lens, okay? The beliefs that we have about who we are and how people see us and how life should be are pretty solidly formed by the time we're 10. So, what does that mean for us? It means that a lot of our winning strategies at life, the very things that got us to the level of success that we're at right now, can often have roots in I need to make sure I'm the smartest person in the room all the time. And I need to make sure that I am always seen as successful. And I need to make sure that no one ever thinks that I'm not good enough and that I never fail and that I can literally control how the world perceives me. Okay. Now, if we're looking at that, there's a lot of fear there. Okay. And there's a lot of unconscious attempts to control things that we think we can control, but we can't. And when people don't recognize that they are trying to control aspects of their life that they can't, and they don't know it, they keep trying to control more and more and more and more. And that is exactly where you can lose your integrity. That's
And all,
exactly where things can go south.
yeah, absolutely. And I think, what I see is when these people, when they lose their own integrity, are coming into a different path.
If your corporate culture is rooted in, you know, being so attached to producing a particular outcome, right? Getting to that business goal, getting your clients to see you as the best. Okay. If you think about that, what you have control over is what steps are you taking right now to reach those goals? Okay. Those are great goals to have. I want to get the company here. I want to make sure that our clients, see us as leaders in the industry. Okay. But what that entails is actually learning how to be an effective leader, first of all, from within your own values
Hmm.
and your own integrity. Again, if you're focused on, I need to make sure that others perceive me in a particular way, that's where you have no power. The power that you have is, how are you going to show up within your organization? How are you going to show up within the people that you lead in such a way that you're eliciting from them the very best of them? And when you're not doing your own work to understand how you are eliciting the best from you, and by the way you do one thing is the way you do everything, right? So you can't cherry pick where you are going to understand how you're showing up and the impact that it's having on other people.
And you are a role model all the time. That's also what I see. People are just sometimes they just forget whatever they do, it's going to be recognized, and they are a role model 24 hours a day,
Yes.
depending on with whom you are. It's not only at work, also at home, in your families, with your friends. You are a role model because people recognize how you behave, and
Yes.
it doesn't matter what you say; it's how you
Yes.
behave at the end.
Absolutely. And so if you're not really understanding what are some of the subconscious beliefs, the subconscious thoughts, the subconscious fears, the subconscious things you're trying to control in your life, how is this impacting who I am in my life, right? How is it impacting not only where I'm leading in my business, how's it impacting my primary relationship? How's it impacting my sense of self? Right. So when I say autopilot, if the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, right? So a lot of organizations fail because people are not willing to look at where is my personal responsibility in why these things are happening in the culture of my organization. Where is my role in this, right? And especially many leaders in the organization, if you're not doing your own personal work in that arena, you know,
Absolutely.
it
Yeah.
rolls down and you start blaming other people, and then they start blaming other people, and then before you know it, you're creating toxicity within the culture of your organization.
What I see in most of the organizations, they do quite a good job when they implement compliance system. They have some kind of diversity programs. But when it comes to their own integrity work, I think, of course, we can also discuss whether it should be done or should be mentioned in an organization. But I think it should be. It can't be a taboo anymore because the costs are very high and increasing.
Absolutely.
And I
Yeah.
think it would be helpful just to talk and to sensitize about the topic. Of
Yes.
course, the company is not responsible that leaders are going to do that for themselves, but some kind of awareness, also when you hire these kind of key personnel, should be there
Yes.
these days. Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of compliance for integrity, right? Y- Personally, I don't know how an organization can be at their best if they don't have very specific guidelines about their corporate values and their corporate integrity and the values that not only the company has, but that each member of the team has individually, and that they're not discussed, right? These things need to be discussed at least once a week within the organization. Where are you not integrity with your own personal values? Where are you not integrity with the values of the organization?
Absolutely. I absolutely agree what you are saying. But I think what is seen in large corporates is that you have this nice code of conduct.
Yes.
Everything is written down, also the values, and now with our artificial intelligence, it's even easier to do so. But is it really understood? And is it also taken on the personal level? It's not only about the organization. It's really what everybody of us brings to work every day again and again.
Yes.
And that's what counts. And that's also the reason why we talk about the human factor and we want to give integrity a voice. We want to give the personal integrity a voice and also make it, how should I say, it's not successful, because successful is also to reach something again, but to make people aware that they can change it and they can impact it. And they are, as you said before, they can design that for themselves.
That's right. That's right. Many people are afraid to do this work because they're afraid of what they're going to see. Okay. So you want to understand that in our DNA, really, humans are governed by really two things, right? Seek out comfort and security and avoid pain. Okay. So, how that often gets translated is I'm not going to look at the changes that I need to make because that's too painful for me. It's too scary for me to make some of these changes because it would mean I'd have to change parts of my life. There are things I've been tolerating and putting up with that if I changed, I'd have to confront that this is really not okay with me, right? Or this
And that,
doesn't align with some of my own values or the way that I really truly want to live, right? And that's scary. And many people, they want to just kind of put blinders up and say, you know what? I don't even want to look at that because I don't
Yeah.
want to rock the boat.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I see it all with these people who are not yet willing or not yet able to look at that. When we discuss resilience, although and also corporate resilience, again, as it starts with each of us, because if we are not resilient enough, we can also not support our teams. We cannot be the leaders when the stormy weathers come up. So
Yes.
we have to work on our own resilience, and that's also what I expect from a
Yes.
leader,
Yes.
from a management
Absolutely.
team member. But it starts with everybody. I had a discussion. I said we should also think about how can we support our kids, teenagers, to become more resilient
Yes.
these days. And
Yes.
with having this new generation working on their resilience, I think it can change a lot. But what I see right now, it's
Yes.
not a topic of our generation, the
Yep.
Generation X now,
Yes.
most of the leaders we have are Gen X.
Yep.
They are not aware and not sensitized when it comes to these topics.
Right. And this is what the new generation of leaders really needs. Okay. You know, Unfortunately, we have become a culture where there's more and more avoidance of pain,
Do you think
right?
so? That's a super interesting point. Do you think the new generation wants to avoid pain more than the older ones?
I think there are more ways to numb and distract yourself from your pain. Okay. When we were children, there was no such thing as social media. There was no such thing as phones. If you were sitting and waiting for somebody, guess what? You were sitting and waiting with your own thoughts, right?
True.
This
Yeah,
generation is very used to having distractions all over the place, right? And so, this generation more than our generation needs tools to build resiliency because uncertainty and unknown, right, that's terrifying for anybody, and that's really what resiliency is. Resiliency is building the muscle to be able to trust that I don't need to keep protecting myself from uncertainty and unknown. I actually know that I can navigate it. And so I don't need to keep spinning and trying to control all of those parts of life that I've been trying to control. That's what resiliency really comes down to. Yeah. And so I think that if more leaders within organizations understood that if you make a little bit of investment in teaching everybody within the company how to have your own personal power and your own personal agency, right? In terms of building your resiliency, building your confidence, building a different sense of being able to handle obstacles and challenges and setbacks, I think you'd have a different organization.
absolutely. And as you said before, it's not about ego. It's not about being the better, being the one who never should never fail. It's completely different. These are
Yes,
different goals and values. And I think that shift, as you said before, if the leaders could teach others, I think leaders need to start with themselves and
of
find,
course.
because
Yes,
otherwise it's going to be super dangerous because if they are going to demonstrate what real success is, and I think in the last 20 to 30 years, it was different than what we need right now in the
that's
world.
right. For sure.
And we
Yes,
need that resilience. And I think there's a long way to go for a lot of organizations to
sure.
get there. And
Yes.
resilience is not yet a topic on the priority list.
No, no. You know, People are dropping out of corporate America left and right? And and that is because they're starting to recognize that there is a lack of integrity, meaning if I stay in this environment and keep doing this, this is not in alignment with the life that I want to be living. Um so to your point, I mean, your podcast is called The Human Factor, right?
Yes.
So organizations in years past could get away with not having that human factor.
Factor. Yes.
I don't think they can get away with that anymore. I think that the more that people can really understand how they've been operating from some blind spots in their life and they
Mhm.
don't even know it. I think
Absolutely.
giving them the ability to wake up and see some things about themselves and about their lives that they didn't even know was there.
And they don't even know what kind of power, to both sides they have.
That's right.
And for me, it's a competitive advantage if an organization really prioritizes the human factor. No
Yes.
matter what we have now, right now with artificial intelligence, and then no, it's very supportive. And I also love technology. But if we think the human factor can be erased, I'm convinced it's not going to be the right way.
That's right. That's exactly right. And personally, listen, people buy from people, right? People buy from the relationships that I don't care what industry you're in. Okay. It is all about personal connection, right? And what gets in the way of personal connection is all the stuff that goes on in our mind. People are so disconnected from their
Absolutely.
heart.
From themselves. And I lately had a discussion. I said, you cannot be connected with others if you're not connected with yourself.
That's right. That's right. And this isn't something connecting with yourself, understanding how your mind works, understanding that you can literally have the power to rewire
Mhm.
different thoughts and beliefs that actually will have the ability to rewire neural pathways in your brain, chemical responses in your brain, right? We're just so used to this quick fix. Let's just, try and put out like a fire with like a little, tiny water hose, right? Let's just, if I'm anxious, let's just figure out a pill. And, if I'm unhappy, let me just, let me go and have a spa day. Like that's not it.
No, no, but
Right?
we are such a powerhouse because, as you said, we are able to rewire all our connections. And
Yes, literally.
I think hardly any people know about that because it's not very new, but it's quite new
Yes.
that we know about that. But people are not. It's not as we said before. It's not yet on a priority list, and especially not in the business world, and
No.
more in the area you are working in. But I think it would be so powerful if we could also adapt that and make it available to those leaders who are really willing also to, I think, living a much easier life.
Yes. Yes. You know, Sonja, I have worked with a lot of bigger organizations, okay? And I'm not going to name any names, but I will tell you that some of the bigger organizations, what I find is that they're calling me in to do a keynote for, let's say like a 5-day conference that they have, or they're calling me in to do a 1-day thing or a 2-hour thing. Okay. Which I'm not, that's great, but that is the tip of the iceberg.
But it doesn't hurt. To try that, that's
Doesn't
the
hurt.
reason. It doesn't
Yeah.
hurt. And then
Yeah.
they said, yes, we did something. And of
Yes.
course, it's a priority. And we are so, yeah. But I think it's exactly, it doesn't hurt. And we did something, ticking the box. And yes, we were there. And it doesn't help.
Well, it doesn't create lasting changes,
Yes.
right?
Maybe there is one or the other leaders who think, yes, I would like to go there. And they also reach out to you. But I think it's not enough right now. And I
No.
really hope that we can also change that.
Well, yeah. And, I think what will change that is truly when more and more and more people are so fundamentally dissatisfied with what their life has become, meaning they've checked a lot of the boxes. They've gotten to a lot of the goals, right? Whether individually or as an organization, right? The way that many people think is once we reach that goal, once we get there, that's going to be the thing that'll finally do it. And many people have to get there, right? Or even get further from there only to recognize, wait a minute, this did not move the needle in
At
terms
all.
of, either the
Purpose.
quality of my personal life or the quality of the life of the organization,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you would have, or if you have one wish for our society or for our world, what would it be?
Yeah. I think my one wish would be right, and I'll say this is coming from Carl Jung. Okay, Carl Jung says until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you'll call it fate.
Yes.
So I wish that more people knew that your dissatisfaction in any important area of your life, I don't care if it's your business or your bank account or your relationship or your health or anything in between, it is not the circumstances of your life that determines your life. It's you. It's your thoughts, your beliefs, your lens through which you see everything. And that is what I want for humanity, is to wake up to understanding that the most important work you can do is to shift your lens, because the ripple effect of that is monumental. The more people that are able to do that inner work, the better our world will be.
Absolutely. And as you said, the more individuals working on that, the better also our corporate resilience, our corporate integrity, and our society can react on that.
That's
Yeah,
exactly it. That's right. And it starts with you. Doesn't start with anybody else but you.
it starts with us. Thank you very much, John. It was so interesting, and I think we could also do other episodes together. I'm also curious how our audience is going to react on that, because it was really
Absolutely.
the first time that we go into in such kind of depth into the personal integrity topic, and I really love it. Thank you that you talk about it.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you for having me here today.
This was another episode of the Human Factor Corporate Integrity Matters, where we uncovered leadership strategies fostering resilience, corporate integrity, governance, risk awareness, and strategic foresight. Today, with one of my highly precious colleagues and guests, Joanna Kleinman, guided by the principle corporate integrity and resilience are the foundations of trust and long-term success in unpredictable times. Thank you for listening, and now take care and nurture your own resilience too.